Unlocked is brought to you by Invincible, a program designed to unlock the potential of people and teams inside your organization. Join companies like Pfizer, Delta, the CDC, Google, and Chick-fil-A, and others in over 116 countries that are currently using this program to increase productivity and develop healthy cultures. Access hundreds of hours of content that is accessible anytime, anywhere. And finally, use real-time data to understand the health of every team inside your organization, which teams are performing and which ones aren't. Then understand the why behind that performance. Get free access to Invincible for 30 days by visiting www.giant.tv/30days. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Unlocked, where we talk about unlocking the potential of your people so that we can unlock the potential of your organizations. I'm Skot Waldron. I've got an interview today with Sherwin Estanislao. I think I got that right. I'm trying. I swear, Sherwin, I tried. But Sherwin is the CEO of CI Tech Ventures. They are a venture capitalist group that invests solely in tech startups. And they have an interesting angle on that. So I want you to listen for that later in the show. We talk about investing in things and investing in companies and the things that they're developing, but also the people running those companies and making sure that there are certain things in place. We talked about two of them specifically. So I want you to listen up for those. The two things that Sherwin makes sure that they have so that they can be successful together. All right, you ready? Let's do this interview. All right, welcome, Sherwin. This is going to be fun. I'm excited to talk to you about what you have going on. The venture capital world, you focus a lot on new technologies, emerging technologies, startups. That's kind of your niche, right? So tell me why startup world? Like that's kind of a iffy world in one way or another, right? There's some great success there and a lot of great failures. What can happen there?
A lot can happen. Scott, first, thank you for having me on your show. And to answer your question, why the startup world? Well, you know, my whole life I've been surrounded with a family full of entrepreneurs and inventors. So, so throughout life, I've seen my family members go through a lot of failures and a lot of success. And so, the startup world, I believe that they deserve, everyone has this great idea, right? And I just believe that they deserve a running chance in the race. So, I got into the whole tech venture space to be able to invest into the technology of the products and to really help scale these companies into an investable company or into a company that is competing in their respective space in the market.
Okay. And you've been doing this for just a short amount of time, right? 20 years. I say short, kidding.
20 years.
Yeah. 20
Yeah.
years you've been doing this, right?
Yes, it's been quite some time, a bit over 20 years, correct. Technology's actually only been the last 12 years, actually 13 years, but yes, over 20 years.
Okay. And in that time, what is something you've learned about you're investing in these companies, but really you're investing in the people that are
absolutely
running these companies, right? What have you learned about that journey? What is it that now, after almost 20 years of investing, 13 years in the tech space, what are you looking for in a leader or a team?
So, just based on this experience, I mean, I've had a lot of great investments. I had some great exits in my path, and I come to find out that no matter how great the product, the venture, the technology, depends on what you're investing in. It doesn't matter how great the product is. If the team and the people are not aligned with your core values, and somewhat you're going to have issues one way or the other. Not the startup or the company might not fail, but you will have issues. So
Okay. What kind of
that's what
issues?
I've learned.
What
Well,
comes out?
sorry.
No, what comes out of that? So that misalignment of values, right? Because I'll just say it right now. When I go in and I coach individuals and teams, and I do a lot of brand strategy work too from the internal side,
Mhm.
I'll get kickback. I'll get we don't that's fluff, or hey, we did our values like 20 years ago and we've got 15 values or whatever they are, right? Or that we don't
Right,
really need to worry about the fluff stuff. Look at this thing I built, you know, look at this
right.
thing. So why is values so important to you?
I think, and I believe, based on my experience, value is super important to us only because it's what allows us to last in terms of longevity of relationships. Because at the end of the day, Scott, people is the one that builds the company. The people are the one that builds, you know, the technology and supports the technology at the end of the day. So if you don't have that, if you don't value that, and if you don't value, the same core, if you don't have the same core values and that's not aligned with your team and people that you invest in, I mean, again, it will fail at some point, whether the relationship will fail and there'll be a nasty, you know, a nasty divorce within partners, or, it the company will fail in terms of going under, right? So you have to dissolve the entity. So um, I've been through that cycle many times in so many different ways, and it's some good, some bad, and I mean I can go into details if you like, and so and it just all depends on the goal of the whole team together, right? For me,
Okay.
and in terms of the so I know I'm kind of on a tangent here, but for my partners and I, we brought on partners before, and find out a year later that it wasn't, our core values, wasn't aligned, although it was spoken that it was aligned and it was acted as if it was aligned. But at the end of the day, um, different decisions, especially when it's coming from an executive role, these types of decisions can tarnish a relationship or tarnish a reputation. And so we had to divest from that relationship.
Okay. So what I hear there a little bit is that you're talking about transparency in those relationships as well, right?
Absolutely.
And we saw a lot of that. I feel like in 2020 come out with the rise of COVID and the racial injustice issues being brought up more and more,
Yes.
that a lot of companies are being called out on their values. We had a lot of companies that
Yes.
were saying, hey, beat our chest, we're inclusive. Hey, we do this, we value this person, that person. And then at the end of the day, we have the employees coming out, or partners or whoever, saying, yeah, no, you're not that, right? So that misalignment is what
Right.
you're talking about. So they were talking the talk, but not walking the walk, right? Like it was that. And so
Correct.
you've seen that bring down companies, or just your relationship with them.
Absolutely. Both, in both
Okay.
worlds.
Okay. Um, and the companies that you've had success with are not only because your values were aligned, right? But you see that as a fundamental aspect of what you look for in partners.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I
Is
do.
there what else are you looking for? So you get past that value stage, right? That, hey, we're on the same
Right.
page, we believe the same things. What are you looking for next?
So, in terms of the my apologies. My 2-year-old just walked in.
Zoom life, man.
So
It's okay.
that's what it is, right? In work from home. And so Scott, can you repeat that last question one more time, please, if
Yeah.
you don't
So
mind?
what else are you looking for? When you've got alignment on values, you kind of have, this company has sparked some interest in you. What are you looking for next? Whether it's the team, the people, What are you looking for?
Results, results in terms of you know when I say results, I don't mean just financial results, right, or financial success. um, you know Results in terms of execution. And when you value that alignment with your team and they produce results, um, you know I think success is inevitable at that point, right? um, and you know for me, we look for we look to really take on that market space, in terms of depending on what the technology is or the company that we invested in. And once everything is aligned, and we're able to you know tackle issues together, whether the tough ones and the easy ones, and that relationship will allow us to you know function with integrity, right, outside of that. So yeah, I'm
Okay.
not sure if that really answers your question, Scott.
Yeah, it did. I think that when you're talking about the foundation of values coming first, and then you threw that word integrity in, right? That we're operating in the same way. Um, we can eventually get to the point of increasing execution and capacity and whatever we're doing, right? I think that a lot of companies make the mistake of saying, "Hey, let's just execute, go, 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 produce, produce, produce." And whether it's inflated numbers, whether it's this false sense of we're getting things done, but it's not really the quality that we want,
Right.
um, without first forming the value system, the integrity system, the building of relationships through good communication, you're going to eventually fall flat. There's only so much you can do by just go, 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 go. You've got to have
Right.
that foundation. You've been doing this for a long time. What are some key criteria of companies that make it and some key criteria of companies that don't?
Okay. So some key criterias for companies that do make it, it's really the execution level on their part, right? When we're investing in a company, what we look for in a company that we believe that has a leg to stand on, are the companies that shows a high level of execution. Okay. And I'll give you an example. A recent company we partnered and invested with, and well, invested in. They, they're a group of retired military men, and they're super task oriented, and all they do is execute above and beyond. And it's a company that never had a product, and we took a chance on them, and now we're making some great traction with that company, with that startup. And it was all because we based our decision to invest in them on the quality of character, the team, the way they execute, and we invested in the people. And their technology is just going to improve, and as we continue to build it. And and there are other companies where you know the technology we saw was great, and at the end of the day, their executive team were not aligned. And about a year and a half into investing into the project, we had to shelf it. We had to actually dissolve it.
Hmm.
So those are the two different ones, and the criteria for that one, it's very simple. They just weren't aligned. And one person gets greedy, and the other one is like so mission focused with their original plan and original venture. And those are the ones with the passion that I look for to invest in, right? Because you can have the passion, but then you also have to be able to separate that emotional side of yourself and the passion, right? And really executing um, on your present deliverables, right? So
Okay.
to be able to make.
Do you find that balance of passion and execution Is that easy to find in one person, or do you find that in maybe partners or teams or
Well, Scott, you know, one person can only provide so much, right? And you know, with those different types of of character traits or values in a person, eventually you'll have to be able to trust and delegate and build your team, right, to be able to help you scale. Um, you know, so you have those founders that feels like they can wear all the hats, and that's great, but and they don't want to depart or take these hats off and hand it to somebody else. Then those are the guys that we call that as pretty much uncoachable, right? Um, you know, and some of those might be some really smart individuals, but again, at the end of the day, will that really allow this company to scale and withstand the growth of the company because he's wearing all the hats? The answer is probably no, and that company will probably fail, right? Because of, you know, I don't know if you want to use the word being arrogant, or thinking that you know it all and you can't, you can't hand off your trust and other and delegate important tasks to other team members. So yeah, in a nutshell, um, those are the guys that we don't like to engage with or invest in. So
okay, so I hear you saying that that passion, that execution component is important, but really it's about understanding your strengths and being like well, I heard the word coachable, you know,
yep,
um, being willing to accept feedback, being willing to hear the other people on the team in order to understand the potential we have as a group to move forward
absolutely.
and to achieve a goal together, right?
Absolutely. And transparency is a huge factor in that, right, Scott? I can only help someone, you know, if they're being transparent about their weaknesses, right? I mean, it's great to always be confident about your strengths, but what about your weaknesses? You know, I think it takes a bigger person to be able to say, hey, I need help in these areas, right? So
Right. I think that's super valuable. Um, but not only being able to speak to our weaknesses, but to even recognize them in the first place.
absolutely,
Right. I mean, you
absolutely.
see a lot of people out there that may just don't really aren't self-aware, right? We call it having they don't see the broccoli in their own teeth, right? It's just kind of like
Ex- yeah,
it's
absolutely,
they kind of walk around like there's nothing wrong. And
absolutely.
it takes a lot to first recognize it, but then to be able to talk about it too. So that's really great. One of the you mentioned here that one of the biggest mistakes that companies make when developing company culture is just thinking mentality, paycheck mentality, or that
Yep.
9 to 5 mentality of I'm clocking in, I'm clocking out. Uh, why is that so painful? Why is that so toxic for culture inside of an organization?
For our organization, if we're going to be driven by, if our vision and our mission for the company are aligned with all of our, executive members and our leads, um, then we, you know, then that whole 9 to 5 mentality and that paycheck mentality, it's really the least of what's driving them. What's driving them is really to get to, you know, that mission statement, to get to that destination of our goals, right? Because otherwise, all these guys are going to be looking, they're going to be short-sighted by only looking at the next week's paycheck, right? Or the following week's paycheck, the bi-weekly paycheck, right? The 9 to 5 paycheck. So with having that type of mentality, to us is very toxic. And my business partners and I, we always talk about and assess our team, um, and our team members. A lot of people refer to them as employees, but to us they're team members. And we go through these exercise of talking about each and every single one of them and seeing the kind of values and the kind of strengths and weaknesses that they've displayed, right? And we do this, pretty religiously, once a week and once a month, right? So yeah, it's super toxic, because they're not going to go above and beyond, right? Because it's not their goal. Their goal is that 9 to 5, to see that 5 o'clock and to see that paycheck. I mean, it's really just that simple, I think.
I love that. You get compliance, you don't get the passion, right? And
Correct.
I think a lot of, what you're talking about has to do with execution. And that's something that you really look for, is their ability to execute. That was something you mentioned a few times. For your people to execute, their partners that you're investing in to execute
Mhm.
in that way. But also, what's really interesting about what you're saying is that you're not just execution focused, right? Yeah, that's something that's really important, but understanding the passion, the values that are behind that driving, because that's where the true, buy-in is going to happen on the end. That's where we're actually going to change worlds, right? Is when that
Absolutely.
passion and that execution meet in the middle and do something great, right?
Absolutely. You said it way better than I can have ever explained it, Scott. I mean, you hit it on the button.
Well, you can cut me a little check later for that one then. You can use that. That's fantastic. So what makes CI Tech Ventures unique? Okay, there's a lot of, I would think, in the tech startup world, there's a lot of companies out there, venture capitalists going out, throwing a lot of money behind these tech companies. Why you guys?
So what makes this unique, Scott, is, as an investor, you can either syndicate different, you know, deals, or you have a group of investors that you co-invest with from time to time, but never a co-investor that is really technology focused, right? So we're in this niche of technology. Okay, so we invest a lot in technology. In fact, that is like the number one criteria for us, that you have to be technology centric. And so what we do is, what makes us unique is that we don't build the technology just like any software development company, but we also build and invest the technology in these startup companies, along with our own private syndicate of investors, okay, and different groups of investors at that also specializes in technology. And we de-risk everyone's investment by developing the technology internally with our teams, because we have a big team of engineers that are experts, and they're not outsourced. They're all internal. They're all on salary. So we have all that in-house. So that's what makes us unique. And we do not just build technology, nor invest or help them strategize with their funding, but we also help them with the B2B relationships, from top-down approach, with our existing relationships in different markets and different organizations. So, and these relationships we have are, I call it the first degree relationship circle, which is, they're not just someone we just rubbed elbows with, or bumped hips with, right, at a networking event. These guys are, we have established relationship with these guys that can help us with a top-down approach when it comes to B2B introductions, and yeah, generating revenue earlier than later. So yeah, that's what makes us unique.
Wow, that is okay. That is interesting. I mean, the whole engineering team inside to help develop that software that's really cool. I didn't realize that, so that's awesome. Um, if there's anybody out there that wants to get in touch with you, maybe they're a startup in the tech space, maybe they're looking for some extra capital, maybe whatever rounds they're in, whatever they're doing. How do they get in touch with you?
Well, they can reach us, well, they can just simply email me at Sherwin@citechventures.com, or they can go to our website at citechventures.com. and we're going through a rebranding right now as well. So our new site will be launched in the next couple weeks.
Very cool. Awesome. Yeah, well, we'll put some of that contact information in the show notes as well. So it's there for people to access you. I really appreciate you being on today, taking some time. And it was good hearing your 2-year-old in the background and know that you're alive and kicking over there, in our COVID quarantines. So
yeah. Well, thanks for having me, Scott. And also thanks for having my 2-year-old. He's actually my boss. So, he was
Nice.
just checking to make sure that I was on time.
Oh,
with you.
make sure you're doing your job, right? Yeah.
Correct.
That's good, man. That's good. All right, Sherwin, take care, man. It was good to have you.
Thank you, Scott.
I hope you got the 2 things I was talking about at the beginning of the show that are important for Sherwin. He's a faith-based, family-oriented man. Values are very important to Sherwin. He and his partner, they make sure that when they're looking for companies that the values align, because when they don't, conflict arises. And they've learned this over the many years that they've been doing business. The second thing they talked about is, can they execute? That is the second thing, because they got to make sure all the foundational elements are there first before they can move on into the execution realm. I'm really grateful for Sherwin and the insights he gave us today. If you want to find out more about me, you can go to skotwaldron.com. I've got more interviews posted there. My YouTube channel has all the videos as well of all the interviews I've done. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, do all those things. The more people that do that, the more visibility they get. So I'm really grateful for you. I will see you next time on Unlocked. Let's unlock the potential of those people out there. See ya.